When you hear the word performance, what comes to mind? For millions of Americans, it's the blue oval badge of Ford, a company that has been defining and redefining automotive excellence for over a century. From the thunderous roar of its V8 engines to the cutting-edge technology in its modern supercars, Ford's performance legacy isn't just about speed. It's about the relentless pursuit of the American dream on four wheels. The story begins in 1903, when Henry Ford founded a company that would change transportation forever. But it wasn't until the 1960s that Ford truly cemented its performance credentials. This was the era of the muscle car wars, when Detroit's Big Three engaged in a horsepower arms race that would produce some of the most iconic vehicles in history. Ford didn't just participate in this battle. It dominated with machines like the Mustang, a car that would become synonymous with American performance. What makes Ford's performance cars special isn't just their power, it's their accessibility. While European exotics remained out of reach for most Americans, Ford brought world-beating performance to Main Street. The original 1964 one-half Mustang created an entirely new class of car, the pony car, offering sports car performance at a price working Americans could afford. This democratization of speed became Ford's calling card, a tradition that continues today with cars like the Mustang GT and Focus RS. Ford's racing pedigree further burnished its performance credentials. The GT40's historic 1-2-3 finish at Le Mans in 1966 didn't just beat Ferrari. It humiliated the Italians on the world stage. This David versus Goliath story became part of American automotive folklore, proving that Ford could compete with and defeat the best Europe had to offer. Today, that same spirit lives on in Ford's GT supercar, a carbon fiber masterpiece that continues the GT40's legacy of track dominance. The 1980s and 90s saw Ford innovate with turbocharging and all-wheel drive, keeping the performance flame alive during challenging times. The Sierra Cosworth and Escort RS showed that Ford could deliver European-style handling to match its traditional American power. This global perspective would later influence performance models like the Focus ST and RS, proving that Ford's performance DNA wasn't limited to V8 muscle cars. In the new millennium, Ford's performance division SVT created modern classics like the Terminator Cobra and GT500, pushing horsepower numbers to previously unimaginable levels. The 2013 GT500's 662 horsepower output was unthinkable just a decade earlier, while the 2020 model's 760 horsepower Predator engine shows how far Ford continues to push the envelope. Today, Ford stands at a crossroads between its combustion engine heritage and an electric future. The Mustang Mach-E GT proves that performance doesn't require gasoline, while rumors of hybrid and all-electric Mustangs suggest Ford isn't abandoning performance. It's redefining it. Through all these changes, one thing remains constant: Ford's commitment to delivering thrilling, accessible performance that speaks to the American spirit. This is more than just a history of fast cars. It's the story of how Ford helped shape American car culture. From Woodward Avenue to Route 66, from drag strips to road courses, Ford's performance cars have become part of our national identity. They represent freedom, innovation, and the pure joy of driving, values that continue to inspire new generations of enthusiasts. As we explore Ford's most powerful production cars in the following sections, remember this: each one represents a chapter in America's automotive story. They're not just machines. They're rolling pieces of history that continue to capture our imagination and fuel our passion for performance. The year was 1969, and Ford had a problem. They'd built a race engine so powerful it wouldn't fit in any of their production cars. The solution became one of the most legendary Mustangs ever created, the Boss 429. This wasn't just another muscle car rolling off the assembly line. It was a street-legal NASCAR homologation, special built to dominate both the track and the streets. At its heartbeat, an enormous 429 cubic inch, 7.0L semi-Hemi V8, an engine so massive that Ford's engineers had to completely rework the Mustang's front end just to make it fit. They widened the shock towers, reinforced the frame, and modified the suspension, all to contain this fire-breathing monster that officially produced 375 horsepower, though anyone who drove one knew that number was severely underrated. What made the Boss 429 special wasn't just its power, it was how it delivered it. The moment you turned the key, the world disappeared behind a wall of V8 thunder. That deep, chest-rattling roar that announced this was no ordinary Mustang. The acceleration was brutal, the kind that pinned you to the seat and made the steering wheel feel alive in your hands. Yet despite its race-bred intentions, Ford managed to make it civilized enough for daily driving. If you could call something with that much raw power civilized. The interior featured special high-back bucket seats, a wood-grain steering wheel, and a 140 miles per hour speedometer that many owners swore was too conservative. Visually, the Boss 429 stood apart from lesser Mustangs with its bold hood scoop, racing mirrors, and distinctive Boss 429 decals. The functional hood scoop fed cold air to the massive engine, while the rear window louvers and chrome accents gave it a menacing presence that turned heads wherever it went. But perhaps its most distinctive feature was what you couldn't see, that enormous engine barely fitting under the hood, with its unique valve covers and massive air cleaner dominating the engine bay. Production numbers tell the story of its exclusivity. Only 1,358 Boss 429s were built across 2 model years, making it one of the rarest and most desirable Mustangs ever. Today, pristine examples regularly sell at auction for $300,000 T. O. $300,000 to $500,000, with the rarest colors and best documented cars commanding even higher prices. But the Boss 429's legacy isn't just about collectability. It represents the pinnacle of American muscle car engineering, a time when Detroit built cars with cubic inches and attitude rather than computers and emissions controls. What's most remarkable about the Boss 429 is how well it has aged. While many muscle cars from this era feel crude by modern standards, the Boss 429's combination of raw power and surprisingly refined engineering makes it just as thrilling to drive today as it was in 1969. That visceral connection between driver and machine, the mechanical symphony of that massive V8, the way it demands respect with every press of the throttle. These are things no modern performance car can truly replicate. The Boss 429 wasn't just the king of Mustangs. It was one of the last true analog supercars, a machine built in an era when horsepower was measured in torque and terror rather than computer-controlled precision. For collectors and enthusiasts, the Boss 429 represents more than just a fast car. It's a rolling piece of American automotive history, a symbol of Detroit's golden age when manufacturers pushed boundaries without apology. It's a car that proved Ford could outmuscle anyone when they put their mind to it, and its legend only grows with each passing year. In a world where modern performance cars are increasingly complex and sanitized, the Boss 429 stands as a reminder of a time when speed was simple, brutal, and utterly intoxicating. The dawn of the new millennium brought with it a seismic shift in the automotive world. As manufacturers began embracing computer-aided precision and electronic driver aids, Ford took a different path with the 2000 SVT Mustang Cobra, a raw, uncompromising track weapon that would become the last of its kind. This wasn't just another special edition Mustang. It was a 385 horsepower statement of intent, a car so focused on performance that Ford removed the back seats, radio, and even air conditioning to save weight. What remained was pure, undiluted American muscle, the final shout of an era before electronic nannies took over. Under the vented aluminum hood lay Ford's most advanced, naturally aspirated V8 of its time, a 5.4L power plant derived from the F-150 pickup, but transformed into something altogether more sinister. The iron block engine received forged aluminum pistons, a high-lift camshaft, and CNC-ported cylinder heads that helped it breathe fire. The result was 385 horsepower at 5,750 RPM, staggering numbers for a naturally aspirated engine in 2000, especially when you consider the Corvette C5 made do with 345 horsepower. But the Cobra R wasn't about paper specs, it was about the experience. The Tremec T56 6-speed manual transmission required a firm hand. The clutch pedal was heavy enough to give your left leg a workout, and the side exit exhausts bellowed with a voice that could wake the dead. Ford's Special Vehicle Team, SVT, didn't stop at the engine when creating this track monster. They equipped it with massive 13-inch Brembo brakes up front, a race-bred suspension with adjustable Coney shocks, and 18-inch wheels wrapped in ultra-sticky Goodyear Eagle F1 tires. The aerodynamic package included a towering rear wing and front splitter that actually generated meaningful downforce, rare for a production Mustang at the time. Inside, the stripped-out cabin featured racing seats with 5-point harness provisions, a suede-wrapped steering wheel, and not much else. This was a car built for one purpose: dominating racetracks while remaining barely street-legal. Driving the Cobra R was an exercise in sensory overload. The unassisted steering communicated every ripple in the pavement directly to your hands. The stiff suspension made no apologies for rough roads. The engine note at full chat was loud enough to set off car alarms. Yet for all its rawness, the Cobra R possessed a mechanical purity that modern performance cars have lost. There was no traction control, no electronic stability systems, no drive modes to soften the edges, just a direct connection between driver and machine that demanded skill and rewarded bravery. Production numbers tell the story of its exclusivity. Just 300 examples were built, each painted in the same performance red hue as a warning to competitors. Today, these rare beasts command prices well over $150,000. A T A U C T I O N W I T H L O W minus M I L E A G E E X A M P L E S P U S H I N G T O W A R D 150,000 at auction, with low minus mileage examples pushing toward 200,000. But the Cobra R's legacy isn't just about collectability. It represents the end of an era in American performance cars. It was the last Mustang developed before Ford began chasing refinement over raw capability, before electronic assists began filtering driver feedback, before horsepower became just another number in a spec sheet rather than a visceral experience. What makes the Cobra R special today is how completely it embodies the spirit of turn-of-the-century American performance. In an age when many manufacturers were softening their edges to appeal to broader audiences, Ford had the courage to build something truly extreme. The Cobra R wasn't designed to win magazine comparison tests or set lap records, though it did plenty of both. It was built to remind the world what an American performance car could be when unshackled from compromise. It's the automotive equivalent of that last perfect summer day before autumn arrives, a final, glorious celebration of everything that made American muscle cars great before the world changed around them. 2 decades later, the Cobra R's influence can still be felt. Modern track-focused specials, like the Shelby GT350R and GT500, owe much to the blueprint established by this red terror. But while today's performance Mustangs are faster, more sophisticated, and more capable by every objective measure, none can match the Cobra R's sheer, unadulterated intensity. It stands as a monument to a time when American performance cars didn't apologize for being loud, rough, or demanding. They celebrated it. In an increasingly sanitized automotive landscape, the Cobra R remains a reminder of what we've gained in technology and refinement, and what we've lost in the process. When Ford unleashed the 2013 Shelby GT500 on an unsuspecting automotive world, they weren't just raising the bar for American muscle. They were redefining what a production Mustang could be. This wasn't merely an evolution of the previous GT500. It was a revolution wrapped in sheet metal, boasting a supercharged 5.8 LV8 that pumped out an earth-shaking 662 horsepower and 631 lb-ft of torque. These weren't just numbers on a spec sheet. They were declarations of war against every exotic car manufacturer in the world. The GT500 didn't just compete with European supercars. It embarrassed them at a fraction of the price, proving once again that Detroit knew how to build world-beating performance machines. At the heart of this beast lay one of the most formidable engines ever fitted to a production Mustang. The aluminum block V8 featured a massive 2.3 LTVS supercharger, forged internals, and a unique dual-fuel injection system that could run on either regular or premium gasoline. The result was acceleration that defied physics, 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.5 seconds, and a top speed of 202 miles per hour, making it the fastest production Mustang ever built at the time. But what made this power plant truly special wasn't just its output, it was how it delivered it. The instant throttle response, the relentless wave of torque from any RPM, and that unmistakable supercharger whine created a sensory experience no naturally aspirated engine could match. Ford paired this monstrous engine with a heavy-duty Tremec TR 6066 speed manual transmission, a deliberate choice that preserved the traditional muscle car driving experience in an era when dual-clutch automatics were becoming the norm. The gearbox required a firm hand and precise clutch work to manage all that power, especially when launching from standstill. This wasn't a car for the timid. It demanded respect and skill, rewarding experienced drivers with performance that could rival six-figure exotics, while punishing mistakes with tire-smoking ferocity. The GT500's chassis had been radically upgraded to handle its unprecedented power levels. An advanced Bilstein electronic damping system constantly adjusted the suspension to road conditions, while massive Brembo brakes with 6-piston front calipers provided fade-free stopping power. The aerodynamic package, including a functional hood vent, front splitter, and rear spoiler, generated real downforce at speed. Even the wheels were special. Lightweight 19-inch forged aluminum units wrapped in ultra-sticky Goodyear Eagle F1 Supercar G. 2 tires developed specifically for this model. Visually, the GT500 stood apart from lesser Mustangs with its aggressive styling cues. The gaping front grille, hood vents that actually channeled air to cool the engine, and distinctive Shelby badging announced its special status. Inside, the cockpit featured Recaro sport seats with suede inserts, a leather-wrapped steering wheel with contrast stitching, and a unique instrument cluster with a 200 miles per hour speedometer, a not-so-subtle reminder of this car's capabilities. What made the 2013 to 2014 GT500 truly remarkable was how Ford managed to make such extreme performance accessible. While European supercars with similar performance carried six-figure price tags, the GT500 delivered comparable thrills for about $55,000 when new. This democratization of speed has always been at the core of Ford's performance philosophy, and the GT500 represented its ultimate expression at the time. It proved that world-class performance didn't require exotic materials or space-age technology. Just good old-fashioned American engineering pushed to its limits. Today, these GT500s have become modern classics, with well-preserved examples commanding significant premiums on the collector market. But more than just appreciating assets, they represent a high watermark in the evolution of the muscle car, the point where American performance finally matched, and in many cases surpassed, the best Europe had to offer. The GT500's legacy lives on in today's even more powerful Mustangs. But there's something special about this particular generation. It arrived at the sweet spot between analog feel and modern refinement, offering raw, unadulterated power without sacrificing daily drivability. Driving a 2013 to 2014 GT500 remains an unforgettable experience even a decade later. The way the supercharger screams as the revs climb, the precise shift action of that heavy-duty transmission, the way the rear end squats under acceleration. These are sensations that can't be replicated by today's turbocharged, hybrid-assisted performance cars. The GT500 represents the end of an era when horsepower reigned supreme, before emissions regulations and fuel economy standards forced manufacturers to adopt smaller, more efficient power plants. It's a rolling monument to a time when American automakers built cars with their hearts rather than their spreadsheets, and its legend only grows with each passing year. The 2020 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 didn't just push boundaries, it obliterated them, redefining what an American muscle car could achieve in the modern era. Under its sculpted hood lurked the most powerful production V8 engine Ford had ever built, a supercharged 5.2-liter Predator power plant churning out an earth-shattering 760 horsepower and 625 lb-ft of torque. These weren't just numbers on paper. They translated into real-world performance that could humble exotic cars costing 3 times as much. The GT500 could rocket from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.3 seconds and tear through the quarter mile in 10.7 seconds at 133 miles per hour. Figures that put it firmly in supercar territory. But what made this Mustang truly special wasn't just its straight-line speed. It was how Ford engineered it to dominate every aspect of performance, from track-ready handling to cutting-edge technology that made all that power accessible to mere mortals. At the heart of the GT500's dominance was its revolutionary 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, a first for the Shelby Mustang lineup. This wasn't just any automatic. The Tremec TR 9070 DCT could shift gears in under 100 milliseconds, faster than many contemporary supercars. Purists initially balked at the absence of a manual option, but the transmission's intelligence and responsiveness quickly silenced critics. It offered multiple drive modes ranging from civilized street manners to full race-ready aggression, complete with launch control that could harness every bit of the Predator engine's monstrous torque. The DCT didn't just make the GT500 faster. It made its incredible performance more accessible, allowing drivers to focus on the road rather than worrying about missed shifts or clutch modulation. Ford's engineers didn't stop at powertrain innovations when developing this ultimate Mustang. The GT500's chassis received extensive modifications to handle its unprecedented power levels. Massive 16.5-inch Brembo brakes, with 6 piston calipers up front provided fade-free stopping power, while an advanced Magnaride damping system adjusted suspension stiffness every millisecond to keep the car planted. The aerodynamic package was equally impressive, with a functional hood vent-reducing lift, an aggressive front splitter, and an available rear spoiler that generated genuine downforce at speed. Even the wheels were special. Lightweight 20-inch aluminum alloys wrapped in custom-developed Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires that provided staggering grip. This wasn't just a muscle car with a big engine. It was a thoroughly engineered performance machine that could hold its own on-road courses against dedicated track weapons. Visually, the GT500 announced its special status with subtle but purposeful styling cues. The gaping front grille opening was actually functional, feeding air to the massive intercooler needed to keep the supercharged V8 running cool. The hood featured prominent vents to release engine heat, while the quad exhaust tips and Shelby badging left no doubt about this Mustang's pedigree. Inside, the cockpit blended modern luxury with race-inspired touches. Recaro sport seats with aggressive bolstering kept occupants firmly in place during hard cornering, while the digital instrument cluster could be configured to display everything from lateral G-forces to individual cylinder temperatures. The flat-bottomed steering wheel, wrapped in Alcantara, provided perfect grip for high-speed maneuvers. What made the GT500 truly remarkable was how it balanced extreme performance with surprising daily drivability. Unlike the stripped-out track specials of years past, this Shelby offered amenities like a premium audio system, dual-zone climate control, and even adaptive cruise control. The Magnaride suspension could soften for comfortable highway cruising or stiffen for track attacks at the touch of a button. This duality represented the evolution of the American performance car, no longer just a one-trick drag strip pony, but a fully rounded machine capable of excelling in any driving situation. It proved that modern muscle cars didn't have to choose between comfort and performance. With enough engineering prowess, they could deliver both in spades. The GT500's significance extends beyond its impressive specifications. It represents the culmination of decades of Shelby Mustang development, a lineage stretching back to Carroll Shelby's original 1960s creations. While those early cars were raw and uncompromising, the 2020 model blended that same performance spirit with modern refinement and technology. It served as both a tribute to Ford's performance heritage and a glimpse into the future of American muscle. Even as the automotive world shifts toward electrification, the GT500 stands as a testament to what internal combustion engineering can achieve when pushed to its limits. For enthusiasts, it's more than just a fast car. It's a celebration of everything that made the Shelby Mustang legend, perfected for the modern age. With its combination of brute force, technical sophistication, and that unmistakable V8 roar, the 2020 GT500 secured its place as one of the greatest performance cars America has ever produced. The 2005 to 2006 Ford GT wasn't just another supercar. It was a rolling piece of American motorsport history reborn for the modern era, created to celebrate Ford's legendary 1-2-3 finish at Le Mans in 1966, while showcasing Detroit's ability to build a world-class, mid-engine exotic. Under its sleek clamshell hood lay a supercharged 5.4-liter V8 pumping out 550 horsepower, enough to propel the lightweight carbon fiber-bodied rocket to 205 miles per hour, making it not just the fastest Ford ever built at the time, but a legitimate threat to contemporary Ferraris and Lamborghinis. What made the GT special wasn't just its performance numbers, impressive as they were, but how perfectly it captured the spirit of the original GT40 while incorporating cutting-edge technology. The aluminum space frame chassis and composite body panels kept weight down to a svelte 3,400 pounds, while the rear suspension's pushrod design mirrored genuine race car engineering. Inside, the cockpit was surprisingly spacious for a mid-engine car, with the signature chrome moly steel roll bars paying homage to the original's racing roots, though modern touches like a Macintosh stereo system and available air conditioning proved Ford hadn't forgotten about comfort. The driving experience was pure theater. The superchargers whined building to a crescendo as the V8 bellowed through its center exit exhaust, the unassisted steering providing telepathic feedback, the massive Brembo brakes hauling the car down from triple-digit speeds with unshakable confidence. Limited to just 4,038 units worldwide, the Ford GT immediately became a collector's item, with values skyrocketing past the $500,000 mark for pristine examples. But beyond its financial appreciation, the GT's true legacy lies in how it proved American automakers could build a supercar that didn't just compete with the European establishment. It surpassed them in many ways, combining brutal acceleration with surprisingly refined road manners. The GT wasn't merely fast in a straight line. It could dance through corners with precision that embarrassed more expensive exotics, all while turning heads like few cars before or since. Its design, a masterful modern interpretation of the original GT40's iconic shape, remains timeless nearly 2 decades later, with every curve and vent serving both form and function. The Ford GT represented a perfect moment in time when Ford threw caution to the wind to build something extraordinary, not because it made financial sense, but because it mattered, a halo car in the truest sense that reminded the world what American automotive engineering was capable of when unleashed from compromise. Today, as the automotive world shifts toward electrification and autonomous driving, the 2005 to 2006 Ford GT stands as one of the last great analog supercars, a machine that demanded skill to drive at its limits, that rewarded the driver's inputs with unfiltered feedback, and that celebrated internal combustion in all its thunderous glory. It wasn't just a great American sports car. It was one of the most significant performance vehicles of its generation, period. A car that made Ferraris look overpriced and Porsches seem pedestrian, all while wearing a blue oval badge that proudly proclaimed its Detroit heritage. The GT's influence can still be seen today in Ford's continued commitment to high-performance vehicles, proving that sometimes the best way to honor history is to make some history of your own. The 2022 Ford GT Mk2 took everything that made the standard GT extraordinary and dialed it up to 11, creating a track-only monster that blurred the line between production car and purebred race machine. Limited to just 45 units worldwide with a staggering $1.2 million price tag, the Mk2 represented Ford's no-holds-barred approach to performance, stripping away all street-legal compromises to unleash the GT's full potential. At its heart roared an enhanced version of the 3.5-liter twin-turbo EcoBoost V6, now producing a mind-bending 700 horsepower, mated to a racing spec 7-speed dual-clutch transmission that could withstand the punishment of sustained track abuse. Ford's engineers didn't stop there. They completely reworked the aerodynamics with an enormous fixed rear wing, extended front splitter, and revised underbody tunnels that together generated over 400% more downforce than the road-going GT, allowing the MK2 to corner at speeds that would make most prototypes blush. The suspension received race-spec Öhlins adjustable coilovers and lightweight control arms, while the brakes upgraded to carbon ceramic discs with endurance racing pads that could handle repeated punishment from the car's blistering pace. Inside, the cockpit was all business with a full FIA spec roll cage, carbon fiber racing seats with 6-point harnesses, and a steering wheel bristling with controls for adjusting traction control, brake bias, and engine mapping on the fly. What made the MK2 truly special wasn't just its performance enhancements, but how it preserved the road car's fundamental character, while transforming it into something capable of lapping circuits at near GTE race car speeds. The turbocharged V6 still delivered its power with that distinctive progressive surge. The steering remained communicative despite the increased downforce, and the chassis balance was so precise that skilled drivers could dance the car through corners with throttle-adjustable precision. Unlike the road car's electronic limited-slip differential, the MK2 used a mechanical unit that gave drivers more control over power delivery, rewarding proper technique while punishing mistakes. This was a car that demanded respect and skill in equal measure. Ford even included a track-only plaque on the dashboard as both a warning and a badge of honor, reminding owners that this machine belonged on circuits, not trailer queens at car shows. The GT MK2's significance goes beyond its limited production numbers. It represented Ford's commitment to pushing boundaries, even when there was no racing series to compete in or homologation requirements to meet. This was a pure expression of performance for performance's sake, built because Ford's engineers could and because a handful of passionate collectors wanted the ultimate track toy. In an era when many manufacturers were scaling back their motorsport programs, the MK2 proved Ford still had the fire to create something truly extreme, a car that could stand alongside the world's greatest track-focused hypercars while proudly wearing an American badge. The attention to detail was staggering. From the optimized cooling ducts that kept temperatures in check during prolonged sessions to the integrated air jack system that made pit stops quicker, every element was designed with serious track use in mind. While its astronomical price and limited availability put it out of reach for all but the most elite collectors, the GT MK2's legacy lives on as a testament to what happens when a major automaker unleashes its engineering team with no restrictions. It wasn't just the fastest Ford ever built. It was one of the most capable track cars of its generation, period, regardless of price or provenance. The MK2 took the already brilliant Ford GT and transformed it into something approaching automotive art, a machine where every component served the singular purpose of going faster, turning quicker, and braking harder. No compromises, no excuses, just pure, undiluted performance that still stands as one of Detroit's greatest modern achievements. The Ford F-150 Raptor R represents the ultimate fusion of brutal American power and off-road capability, taking Ford's already formidable Raptor platform and injecting it with the heart of a supercar. The same 5.2-liter supercharged Predator V8 that powers the Shelby GT500. With 700 horsepower and 640 lb-ft of torque coursing through its reinforced 10-speed automatic transmission, the Raptor R isn't just the most powerful production pickup truck ever built by Ford. It's a Baja-ready beast that redefines what's possible for a factory-built off-roader. Unlike its EcoBoost-powered sibling, the Raptor R delivers its earth-shaking performance with a signature snarl and supercharger whine that can only come from a blown V8, a soundtrack that seems almost surreal emanating from a pickup truck as it rockets across desert whoops or blasts down sandy washes. Ford's engineers didn't simply drop the massive engine into the Raptor's engine bay. They completely re-engineered the truck to handle the increased power and torque, upgrading the frame mounts, reinforcing the suspension components, and fitting massive 37-inch BF Goodrich all-terrain T/KO2 tires as standard equipment to put all that power to the ground. The Raptor R's sophisticated Fox live valve internal bypass shocks, with 3.1-inch diameter anodized aluminum bodies, provide an incredible 14 inches of front and 15 inches of rear suspension travel, allowing the truck to swallow massive jumps and brutal terrain at speeds that would destroy lesser vehicles. while the specially tuned exhaust system features active valves that can transform the V8's roar from a muted rumble to a deafening bellow at the push of a button. Inside, the Raptor R blends race-ready functionality with luxury truck comfort, featuring supportive Recaro seats with aggressive bolstering to keep occupants in place during high-speed off-road maneuvers, a digital instrument cluster with unique Raptor R displays, and Ford's latest SYNC4 infotainment system with a 12-inch touchscreen that includes off-road navigation and performance pages. What makes the Raptor R truly remarkable isn't just its stratospheric power figures or its desert-running prowess. It's how Ford managed to make this much performance accessible in a package that still works as a daily driver, complete with a 1,200-pound payload capacity and 8,700-pound towing capability. The truck's various drive modes, including Baja, Rock Crawl, and Mud/Ruts, electronically reconfigure everything from the throttle response and transmission shift points to the stability control and shock damping, allowing drivers to optimize the Raptor R's behavior for everything from school runs to high-speed pre-running. While the standard Raptor already set the benchmark for high-performance off-road trucks, the Raptor R takes everything to another level entirely, delivering acceleration that embarrasses sports cars, 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.6 seconds, while maintaining the go-anywhere capability that made the Raptor name legendary. The attention to detail is staggering, from a unique cast aluminum shock towers that save weight while increasing strength to the functional hood vents that help keep the supercharged V8 cool during extreme use. Every component has been optimized for maximum performance. In a market flooded with luxury trucks and off-road posers, the Raptor R stands apart as the real deal, a factory-built machine that can legitimately compete with purpose-built desert racers while still picking up groceries on the way home from the dunes. It represents the pinnacle of Ford's off-road engineering prowess, a no-compromise statement that proves American trucks don't need to follow the European playbook to achieve greatness. The Raptor R isn't just the most powerful production truck Ford has ever built. It's one of the most capable off-road vehicles ever to wear a manufacturer's warranty, a machine that proudly carries the torch for Detroit's performance legacy while pointing toward an exciting future where trucks can be both brutally powerful and remarkably sophisticated. For enthusiasts who've longed for a factory off-roader with supercar-level power and genuine competition-bred capability, the Raptor R is the dream made real, a truck that doesn't just push boundaries but completely redraws them, proving once again that when it comes to high-performance vehicles, Ford isn't content to follow the competition. They'd rather leave them eating dust in the desert. The Ford Focus RS 500 stands as one of the most extreme hot hatches ever to wear the blue oval badge, a limited edition masterpiece that took the already brilliant Focus RS and cranked its performance dial to 11. Limited to just 500 units worldwide, the RS 500 packed a heavily massaged version of the standard car's 2.5-liter turbocharged 5-cylinder engine, now producing a whopping 345 horsepower and 339 lb-ft of torque, figures that made it the most powerful front-wheel drive production car in the world when it launched in 2010. What set the RS 500 apart wasn't just its increased output, but how it delivered its power. With a ferocious urgency that transformed the humble hatchback into a legitimate giant killer, capable of embarrassing far more expensive sports cars on both road and track. The engineers at Ford's Team RS didn't stop at engine upgrades. They completely reworked the turbocharger with larger compressor wheels, added a high-performance intercooler, and fitted a low-restriction exhaust system that gave the 5-cylinder engine its signature metallic snarl, a sound that became instantly recognizable to enthusiasts. The exterior received equally serious treatment, with a menacing matte black paint scheme, officially called Panther Black, that covered every body panel, complemented by smoked LED taillights and darkened 19-inch alloy wheels that gave the RS 500 its sinister, stealth fighter appearance. Inside, the rally-inspired cabin featured Recaro sport seats upholstered in a combination of black leather and microfiber, with contrasting blue stitching and RS 500 badging reminding occupants they were in something special. Underneath its aggressive styling, the RS 500 retained the standard Focus RS brilliant Revo knuckle front suspension and innovative torque vectoring system that helped tame the prodigious power going through the front wheels, though engineers stiffened the suspension further and recalibrated the stability control to account for the increased performance. The result was a hot hatch that could put its power down with remarkable effectiveness, despite having no all-wheel drive system to rely on, a testament to Ford's chassis engineering prowess. The 6-speed manual transmission featured a short-throw shifter and a heavy-duty clutch to handle the increased torque, requiring precise inputs from the driver to extract maximum performance. On the road, the RS500 felt every bit as special as its limited production number suggested. The turbocharged 5-cylinder delivered its power with a relentless surge that pinned passengers to their seats, while the exhaust note switched between a deep burble at low revs to an angry snarl as the tachometer needle swept toward the 7,000 RPM redline. The steering remained beautifully communicative, telegraphing exactly what the front wheels were doing, while the stiffened suspension kept body roll in check without completely sacrificing ride quality.